Well, hello people. We are all in the house, I hope. I'm just got to switch this off over here. Give me a second. Let's just switch that off. And that's that. Look, yeah, and here we go. I'm with you. Look. Ta-da! We have another beer. I hope you've got yourself a beer. Not unless you're in Australia or somewhere where it's like 6 in the morning. If you've got a beer there, then you're in trouble, mate. I'm telling you. But if it's the evening like it is here, have yourself a nice beer and get yourself settled in. I already read on here. I think it was Tony who's got a nice bottle of London Pride. What a lovely beer that is. I'm on the Doom Bar. Right. Who we got in the house here? Who have we got in the house? Oh, little quiz for you, or a little question. Who is the chosen artist for this evening? If anyone that's been watching this for a few months will know I put some records up on that shelf. So give me the chosen artist for this evening. And yeah, the other thing is, you already know this anyway, probably. There is about a 30-second delay from when you hear my voice to when I see whatever you type in there. All right, so there's a 30-second delay. Okay, so we have got Dan Drummond here from Nashville in the USA. Thanks for tuning in. Paul Kurzel from Swansbridgeworth. I've got one of your questions here, Paul. And Luke Ragg from Richmond. Les from Manchester there. Dennis from Montreal, Phil from the Wirral, John from Bromley. I saw some people from Texas a minute ago, so hello from Texas. I think there was 2 of you from Texas. John Blows has got it. Yes, it is David Bowie. All right, well, here's a bonus question. What are the albums? There's 3 albums there. Look, 1. Oh, hang on, I'm going the wrong way. 1, 2. Oh, I can't do it with that. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, 3 albums up there. Let's see who's clever enough and can get all the albums throughout this broadcast. Joanna from Toronto in Canada. Suga, yeah, the Beatles, yeah, that's always there. The Beatles is always there. It's that shelf there that I change every time. And yeah, Bury St Edmunds there. Loads of people on here. Well, and thank you for joining me again, actually. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you're going to learn some stuff. At the worst case scenario, you're probably going to have a laugh. So we're going to get cracking, all right? Phil Jones has got one, Hunky Dory, that's right. I think, personally, his best album is Hunky Dory. That's my personal opinion. And, yeah, there we go. Freddie from California. Right. Shall we crack on, guys? I think we will. We've got loads of questions to answer. Thank you for submitting them. For those people that want to submit questions during this session, I will try and answer some that pop up in the box here. But your best bet is to fill in that form. I put in a link right at the top of them comments. So that's your best bet. Click on that link. Yep, Ziggy Stardust is the next album. And then there's one. Can you see that last one? Yeah, I tell you what. If someone gets that, you are clever. You are a true Bowie fan if you get that last album that you can just see the edge of. All right? Loads of people have got Ziggy Stardust and Hunky Dory. Yes. Try and get that third one. Right. Let's go, shall we? Let's just crack in. The first question I've got here is from Paul Kurzweil from Sawbridgeworth. And he's in here. He's in the house because I've seen him. And I know Paul because he's been on my 4-day course. Hello, Paul. I hope you're doing well. It says here I took part in your 4-day course back in February. You was the last course, Paul. I haven't done a course since then for obvious reasons. It's doing my head in, but there you go. Highly recommend, he says there, for anyone else. So here I am composing like a boss. I'm focusing, I'm reframing, I'm shoot, and I'm as happy as Larry. I recently bought myself a new camera, and you can move the focus point all over the place, all over the viewfinder. So a quick look online and I see all sorts of reasons not to use my method, right? I'm guessing that your method, Paul, is that you just put that focus point wherever you want it to be and press the button. And you're seeing reasons not to use that method. Are there any situations for moving the focus point in the viewfinder where it's more preferable? Right. Let me first of all show you in the camera what Paul is talking about, okay? So, see here. No one's got the third album yet. Woohoo! Right. So this is what Paul is talking about, all right? I'm just there. So you've probably all seen that on your cameras. There you go. There you go. And you can choose a focus point, right? So you can put it on single point focus. It's hard for me to do everything at once, right? But you see that orange dot there in the middle, right? You see that orange dot there in the middle there? You can move that left or right by using this button here. God, this ain't going to be easy, is it? See it moving just about? There we go. You can see it moving, right? So what Paul's saying, I think what Paul means is he sets up and he moves that orange dot to where he wants it to be. You know what I mean? And he's seeing online everyone probably just leaving it in the middle, like what I do, right? Now, moving that dot around every time you take a shot takes a lot of time. So you're best off to focus on a point, hold that focus point, and then reframe your camera to suit. All right, that's the typical way. The reason that you would use that, which I think is your question, the only reason that I would use that personally is if that I've set up on a tripod. So imagine that you're on a tripod, you've got all of your you're all there, you're composed, and you go to take the shot and you think, oh Christ, the focus point is still in the middle, but you want to focus, I don't know, on a tree in the foreground, over to the left here or whatever, right? Then in that situation, there's no point moving your camera because you've already got it all set and still. So you would move your focus point across, focus on that point, and that's basically what you would do. But in fact, these days, you've got touch focus, haven't you, on your screen? So it's probably easier to set up and touch the screen where you want to focus. But that's the only reason, really. That's the only reason you would start moving your focus point all over the place. Apart from that, you'd leave it central, and you'd use it, or like the way I teach you in my course. All right. So I hope that's answered your question, Paul. As always in these sessions, if you have got any other suggestions for Paul about focusing and how you use your focus settings, blah blah blah, whack them in the comments there, because this is not just about me, dictating. Everyone's got different ways and they work in all different sorts of ways for different people, different cameras, whatever. Put them in there if you've got any David Bowie images. It's not images. Oh, it is images. You got me. I thought it was pin-ups. Yes, it is images. I had to look there. When I saw that, I thought, is it? It is. I thought I'd put pin-ups on there. Well, there you go, Eric. That's Eric Bash. I don't know where you're from, Eric, but you got it right, and you actually, you actually proved me wrong. I thought I'd put pin-ups on there. This is because I'm working so bloody quick, and the album pin-ups actually has got a very colourful front like that. Anyway, there you go. Cheers. David Bowie, one of the best musicians ever. Next question from Jack Thayer. He's from Calgary in Alberta, now living in Poland. He asks, what is the advantage to using a ball head and an L bracket? I've never used an L bracket. If you are watching this and you've used an L bracket, please give some more sort of advice in the comments there. All right. But basically, an L bracket is just an easy way to turn your camera. Let's just try and describe it. So you get a quick release plate, right? That screws on the bottom of your camera, yeah. And obviously you put it on and off your tripod. What an L plate, an L bracket is like an L-shaped quick release, if that made sense. So you screw it onto the bottom there, but you've also got another screw in here, so you can literally take your camera off the tripod, go like that, and screw it back down again. So that's the sort of advantage of an L bracket. You put it on your tripod like that, you take it off, put it back on like that very quickly and very easily. And so that actually is the benefit of an L bracket and a ball head. It's just from going from landscape to portrait. I've never used one. I've never felt the need to use one, but it might well be one of them little gadgets that because you don't know until you've used it. So if anyone on here uses an L bracket, please put it in the comments there for Jack, and I'm sure you'll help him out. And there we go. I'm just looking at the comments here to see if anything else popped up. There's an interesting question from Trevor here. Trevor, going back to the focus point, Trevor Keir Lewis. Are the focus points in the center better / faster than the outer ones? No, they're not faster or better in any way, because what the camera's actually looking for is contrast. So if there's contrast on the outer edge and in the middle, then it's going to focus in just the same kind of speed. If there is any difference, you are talking like, well, I don't know, thousands of milliseconds or something ridiculous like that. So there isn't any better or faster sort of. It doesn't make a difference in that sense. It's just that if it's in the center, obviously it's very easy for you to look into the camera to the center point rather than looking over to the edges or whatever. If you're working fast, all right. Yeah. So, but that is an interesting point, Trevor. Thanks for bringing it up. Right, let's go on. John Brown here from Portsmouth. If you're in the house, John, let us know. It says, hi, I shoot wildlife, sports and aviation. and I'm looking at getting a second body, I'm undecided as to whether to go for a high 45 megapixel camera or a 20 megapixel camera. On it says here, obviously there is a massive price difference, but he says I usually crop in. Would you recommend a higher megapixel? If you are cropping into your shots, then yes, the more pixels you've got, the clearer that picture is going to be. I'm kind of picturing here, like it says aviation. I'm kind of picturing here like a plane far off into the distance, and you photographed it and then you crop into it. Now clearly, if you've got more megapixels, that's going to be a clearer shot when you eventually print it or put it on screen. Obviously the other way is to get a really long zoom lens, because then you don't have to crop in. That's cost as well though, isn't it? So you know, yeah, so there you go. I mean, my recommendation is, if you've got the money and you know that when you take pictures you generally crop into them, then the 45 megapixel camera is definitely going to be the one to go for. That's if you've got the money though. All right, because I know there is a massive price difference. So I hope that's helped you out, John. Just quickly looking into here. Nothing else going on there. Right, the next one is from Terence Tully in Central Florida. I was wondering if you could cover information, considerations and suggestions on how to display our photography. Right, okay. Speaking more about at home. So I'm sort of assuming like what I've got there on the back wall. Also, reviews and recommendations for services for printing photography rather than your local chemist or big box store and stuff like that. Now the problem is there, Terence, you're in America, obviously. You're in Florida. I'm in the UK. I know the companies in the UK that I like. I go to one called Loxley Colour in the UK. That's the best one that I find, and they're most reasonably priced. Obviously, I don't know what ones are in America, I'm afraid. But if other people do, put it in there for Terence, please. Now, so let's just talk about a few things. Let's print in for home. Obviously, I've done it all there, back there. So I'll just tell you what I did. So I went to Loxley Colour, which is, you know, a really good, like, high-end lab in the UK. You email your pictures off and they send it to you, and you get lots of choices of prints, you know, metallic, matte, glossy, this, that and the other. Now I just get the matte one, or satin I think it's called, matte or satin, yeah. And I just get the general standard print, okay, the high quality standard print. I don't normally bother with a metallic finish or a gloss finish. I don't like a gloss finish or all them other fancy things that you can get. But it's because I'm doing prints like that, you know, and they're just for the wall, and so that's basically it. They are high-end prints and they'll last for like hundreds of years and whatever else. But yeah, that's the way I do it. That's what I would recommend. If it's for the home, the standard matte finish from a decent print lab is going to do the job. Make sure that your screen is calibrated. So this lab that I go to, you can actually send them a test as well, and they'll send you like a color test. They'll send you one back so you can actually check the colors are correct on your screen. You know, so obviously make sure your screen is calibrated and your colors are correct to them, and that's it really. That, you know, that is it. It's not, I think sometimes people can overthink it. If it's for clients and that, then they might choose the metallic fancy things, and they do them in perspex now and all that kind of stuff. But if it's for yourself, it's obviously just up to you, isn't it? And that's what I do. So I hope that's answered your questions. I wonder if anyone in here is from America. Well, I know there's people in here from America. Can advise Terence, please, on good print labs in America. Put them in the comments, please, and that would be great. The next, hang on a minute. Sorry, guys, something's happening here. Oh, right, don't worry. Right, sorry about that. Now, the next one is from Sharon Honey in Cardiff, in Wales. Right, here we go. I'm going to have a sip first. Sorry, got to have a sip before I go on. Is that an... Richard Pike, you are my friend. Richard Pike has just wrote, is that an early Bang & Olufsen in front of you, in front of the Beatles albums? Oh, yes, it is, Richard. It's one that I reclaimed and I fixed it. And it's not properly fixed because I can't fix it properly because I'm not an engineer. But I have fixed it and it does work really, really well. It sounds superb. And well done for noticing that one. What a piece of design that is. For those people that like records and record players. Oh, that's cheered me up, Richard. Not many people would guess that. Sorry, where was I? I'm getting sidetracked by music. Sharon Honey from Cardiff in Wales. When I place my raw files into Lightroom and Photoshop to work on, this is it, yeah. They will often look a lot less sharp than what I see on my camera. I've only just realised this, so I've probably deleted a lot of photos that were actually sharp in reality. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure, she says. What I've noticed is that occasionally they are very sharp and that they are occasionally not. Okay, so they're on a screen. Sometimes they look sharp and sometimes they don't look sharp. Is it my laptop? I almost deleted a group of photos I was working on, but wasn't certain with the right settings. I left them a while, worked on others, went back to them, and they were completely sharp again. Help, she says in big capitals. Right, they are the photographs rendering out in Lightroom or Photoshop. Okay, your computer is just catching up with the file size. So I'm sure other people on here would have come up with the same. I certainly do. So I import photos into Lightroom and I look at them, and it takes a while for that photo to crisp up. And what's happening is your computer is rendering out the image. That's exactly what the computer is doing. It's rendering out the image. Now, if your computer is slow or old, it's probably taking a long time to render out that image. So you're sitting there looking at your screen thinking that it's blurry, when actually the picture is not blurry. Your computer is just waiting to render out that picture, if that makes sense. And it also happens sometimes when you zoom into pictures. You know, on Lightroom, when you just go over and have a look, keep looking at me all the time, it gets boring. Right, so we're in Lightroom here, and if I zoom in, well, that's done it very quickly, as a matter of fact. So this, that's not a good example. I wonder if I could just click on something else. I'm just seeing if it will. Yeah, sorry, my computer is actually quite fast, so I can't show you an example, which is a shame. But there it is. See that little loading sign there, and there you go, and then it renders out. So I hope you saw that in some way or form. It was the computer was catching up with itself, and I think that's what's happening with you. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, especially if you're going back to the computer and then they're all of a sudden sharp. It's obvious it's the computer. So yeah, it's nothing to do with the screen or anything like that. It's actually your computer processing the image, and it renders out low res versions first before it gives you the sharp version. Now the other thing is this: when you are importing the pictures, so you know when you look at the pictures and you tick the tick button and then you import them into Lightroom, and you can view them big, can't you? Well, you're only viewing a low-res version of the raw file. So if you're looking at a 4K screen and you've got a low-res file that you're looking at before you import them, it will look soft, and sometimes you can think that you've taken the shot wrong, but it's not. It's just that you're looking at a low-res version of the actual raw file. Okay, so just be aware of that as well. You know, if you are unsure, just import it anyway, and then you can look at it properly. You can look at the raw file properly and see if it's sharp or not. I hope that has helped you out. Okay, thanks for that question. And I don't know if my computer is frozen up. Let me just check. Has my computer frozen up here? Because I'm looking at. I'm not sure what's going on. I know the voice is working. I'm going to carry on and hope that it's just my computer, because I am currently looking at me in some really weird freeze mode. Video frozen. Right, guys, just listen, bear with me, okay? You're gonna stay there, and I'm gonna reconnect, okay? So it might go blank for a minute, okay? I'm 30 seconds behind you as well. So yeah, I'm gonna reconnect. I'm gonna close down and reconnect, okay? So bear with me, please. I hope I'm back now. Do apologize, guys. This is obviously computer issues. I think I'm back again. I'm 30 seconds behind you, so it's a bit of a mission. And just let me know if I'm back in the room. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. So yeah, so I'm using OBS software. It just totally froze up. Sorry, I'm back in the game though, and you're still all here. I can see. Very good. Thanks, guys. Oh, Christ almighty. Computer issues. Right. If that happens again, please put it in the comments quickly, because it's hard for me to check what's going on. Right. Where was I? So yeah, that was it. The rendering out of the questions. Now, the next question here is from Craig Blankenship from Flagstaff, Arizona. I don't know where that is, as a matter of fact. But anyway, hopefully you're here in the room. And I'm just checking. I'm definitely back, and yeah, Ron from Texas sees you. Thanks, Ron. And I'll tell you another thing. That freeze frame was not the best look. The next time it freeze frames, I need to be smiling like that or something, you know. Okay. This is from Craig. Instead of exposure bracketing to get those rich images, how do you get the same images results in post? So obviously you've got the HDR. Let's go into Lightroom. Here we go. Right now we're in Lightroom. So you've got them HDR type images, which are, let's have a look if I've got one in here actually. Yeah, here's one here. All right, so this is a HDR image. All right, the colors are rich and vibrant. Let's zoom into this log. Hey, did you see that render out then? That was rendering out. That's what I'm meaning before. Look, we've got lovely rich browns in here. Look at the detail in the highlights. I mean, it's absolutely, you know, you just got all the detail you want here. So that's an HDR. That's the exposure bracketing merging together. Now, you don't have to do that, right? I think this is your question, Craig. How do you do it without? How do you get that look without the bracketing? Well, a raw file, you need to take a raw file, right? You're not going to get that rich look in a JPEG file, or you'll be very pushed to get it in a JPEG file, right? So let's look at another picture here. Now, this is a picture that we use on my Photoshop course, my online Photoshop course. Let's get a little plug in there if people that ain't on it. And this is one raw file that has been post-processed. So I'm going to go into Photoshop so we can see it. Okay. Now, watch this. So that is one raw file, but it actually gets better than this, because this is the original file. Okay, so I'm going to take off all the Photoshop edits. So that's all the Photoshop edits, and then I'm going to go into the raw file. Wait for that to open up. So this is Adobe Camera Raw, and I'm going to reset it to default. And there you go, right? So believe it or not, that is the original raw file. That's the picture that came out of camera, which most people would throw away. Generally, I do, as a matter of fact. It's just that I was using it as an example, and I did have a bracket of this just to outline that. But for an example, for the Photoshop course, I wanted to show people what you can actually do with a raw file. And obviously, this is what you can do with it. All right, so take a mental image of that. That's the original raw file. Let's just cancel that. And then let's bring back all of the Photoshop edits. And that is the final edit, okay? So you can get that rich look from one image, but it needs to be a raw file. And of course, you need to know about Photoshop or whatever post-processing program that you want to use. In my case, I use Photoshop and Lightroom. I think they're bloody brilliant, but there are others out there, and I know other people like other stuff. But there you go. That hopefully has answered your question. So you can get it without bracketing, but just try and do raw files, all right? Next question here. David Hewitt from Weatherford in Texas. And he says, how often, if ever, do you focus calibrate your lenses? Now, for those people who have never heard that word before, calibrate or focus calibrate your lenses, you're probably going, oh no, I don't even know if I've got to do it or not. No, you haven't got to do it really, only if your cameras, if your pictures are coming out blurry, right, all the time. I don't just mean because of camera shake, I mean blurry all the time. The first time this happened to me was, I don't know, like a few years back, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. I thought I was going absolutely mad because pictures that I was taking, I knew that they were sharp. I knew that they was absolutely pin sharp, right? I was using a 50mm f1.4 Canon lens, and I'm taking pictures of people, portraits, and they were off. I got every photo. It looked like I got the focus point wrong every photo, right? And that can't be the case. And this was the first time I actually knew about this, calibrating your lens. It's actually called micro adjustments, right? So I micro adjusted that lens, and you can do it in camera. Just Google micro adjusting lenses. And you do it in your camera, you just come back a couple of steps. Everything was pin sharp, and it absolutely threw me. Now, I put that lens on a different camera body, had no trouble at all with it. It was just something to do with that particular camera body and that lens. That it was just weird, and it is weird. All of this calibrating of lenses is absolutely just an headache. So the answer to your question is, you only do it if you need to do it, okay? And you will know if you need to do it, because obviously you'll be taking pictures and you'll be swearing blind that you got the focus point in the right place and it's not there. And a quick test for anyone for your lens: put your camera on a tripod, make sure you're photographing something that's dead still, like a fence or brick wall or something. Put your aperture wide open to its widest point, okay? Focus center point. Put your focus point on where you want it. Take a picture, blow it up on screen, and see if your focus point is dead on the point where you wanted it to be. Do you know what I mean? And if it is, then you ain't got to worry. And so just to put this into perspective, over the years of all of my cameras and all of my lenses, I've only ever had to do it once with one lens and one camera. It's freaky stuff, all right? But maybe if anyone else in here has had that problem, put it into the comments. So hopefully, David, that's answered your question and also put your mind at rest. Saved you a bit of work, hopefully. The next question here, let's have a sip of beer. Roger Handley from Rotherham. Hang on, Roger. I'll have a drink. Hello, Mark. I can't get my head around RGB. From very young, I learned what the primary colours were: red, yellow, and blue. And every other colour comes from these three colours. And the primary colours can't be made from any other colour, right? You learn that in school. Hopefully, you all know that. So why then, he says, are the three colours of light red, green, and blue? Okay. Now, what's going on here, Roger, is you've got the CMYK colour wheel, which is used for printing, and you've got the RGB colour wheel, which is used for for if you're doing painting, like you're mixing colours, or if you're looking at a screen and all of that. And that is where the headache comes. So I'm going to try and explain it to you if I can. It is a real headache, but do you know what? It really does benefit you to learn the CMYK colour wheel as well as the RGB one, because when you go into Photoshop, let's just say you're using selective colour adjustment layers. Yeah, that's quite it's something that you use in Photoshop. And curves, if you use colour curves in Photoshop, it works on the CMYK colour wheel. So it's very important to actually learn it. Hopefully I can give you a brief kind of lesson on it now. Let's go over to here because I got one off the internet and something just crashed here. See, this is what's happening. Here we go. Right. So this is the C, M, Y and K for black. Don't know why, right? Just that's what it is. Cyan, magenta, yellow, black, right? CYMK. Don't know why it says K. So that's used for printing. Now, as you can see, if you mix yellow with cyan, you get green. If you mix cyan with magenta, you get blue. If you mix yellow with magenta, you get red. So you've got your primary colours here and your secondary colours as well. Well, one secondary colour, I suppose, and then cyan and magenta. But there's a lot more colours to play with here. And it's used for printing. So when you're talking about colours of light, they are actually using all of these. They're using the CMYK colour wheel or the colour system. They're using yellow, green and magenta and mixing them together to make green, blue and red. Complicated, isn't it? But yeah, that is it. Basically, there is two colour wheels that you're going to need to learn. One is the RGB one. Easy. RGB's easy. You did that in school where you mixed paints together and you made colour wheel and whatever else. And then the CYMK is printing and yeah, and that kind of stuff. But you do need to learn it, I'm afraid. It means key instead of black. Oh, is that what it means? Is it? Ah, right. What does key is? I don't know. Does key is someone saying that someone is? Hang on a minute. I think I'm learning something. I'm learning something from you guys, which is what I like. K equals coal equals black in German. Is there any Germans in here? Does that mean? Anyway, whatever. Stands for key. There you go. I've learnt something there. Or coal. Is it coal or key? Who knows? Right, we're getting conflicting things here. But there you go. I don't know. I just know it means black. Okay. There you go. So hopefully that's helped you out. Roger. We're going to move on to the next one. Mike Price from Road in Somerset. I like this question. A lot of you are gonna really sympathise with this question. Mike, if you are in the house, tell us, please. We want to know. Probably a silly question, but I feel awkward when I'm out and about setting up my camera and my tripod, etc. When I'm taking landscape, seascape shots, etc. You know. Do I experience a similar feeling when I started photography? If so, how do you overcome them? So I know exactly what Mike's talking about. You know, you're on a beach or somewhere and there's people over there sunbathing or doing whatever, and you've got your big tripod out, your big camera, and you're setting up and you're there for ages waiting for the sunset and you feel awkward and you think people are looking at you and all of that kind of stuff, right? Well, Mike, it might surprise you. I actually still get that feeling now, right? Because you're the only one in this area with a camera. Everyone else is drinking and having a coffee and doing that, and it does feel like they're going, look at him over there. What's he up to? You know, who's he think he is? David Bailey or something? You know, but you do overcome it, and you just got to not care really. Who cares? Like, who cares, right? I end up being in a world of my own anyway. Half the time when I start looking through that camera lens and I'm waiting for the sun and I'm putting filters in, I'm in a total world of my own at that point anyway. And yeah, so that's what happens to me. But of course, you still feel like that because you feel like people are looking at you. You can see them looking at you, but you just, I don't know. The more you do it, the more you don't care, I suppose. But yeah, don't worry about it. Just don't care. That's it, really. Just don't care. If anyone else gets that same feeling, which I'm sure you do, put it in the comments because Mike, you're certainly not alone. I can tell you that much. Let's move on to the next question from Ken Barrett, who's a Londoner, but he's escaped to Norfolk because Norfolk is much more prettier. Here we go. Right, I am following the Lightroom course. I have set up the folders as per instructions in my pictures folder. Will I be able to deal with images that just sit in the pictures folder? I've had Lightroom for years, but I've only started using it when Apple stopped supporting Aperture. Okay, right, now this is important, and everyone at list is, if you're on this video now and you've just started Lightroom, you're going to want to hear this. Okay, now if you've got pictures that you've taken before you've started using Lightroom, what's the likelihood that you are going to go back and edit them pictures? Because if there's no likelihood at all, most of the time, like you say, you was using Aperture, right? So you've probably already processed, cropped, and done whatever you want with them pictures, and that's it, they're finished. So make a folder that just says, I don't know, archived or before Lightroom, you know, and make a folder, put them in there, keep them organized under, you know, Joe Blogg's wedding or whatever. But only, and then you ain't got to worry about them. You've got them nicely organized. They're over there. If you need the pictures, you can always get them. If you do want to start editing them, I've only had half a beer, I can't even say edit, right? If you do want to start editing them in Lightroom, you can then import them then, okay? So lots of people stress themselves out going, oh, I've got 10 million photos that I took 5 years ago. Well, the chances are that you're never going to go back to them again. You know, you've done what you need to do with them pictures, and they're there as an archive, you know, to go back and look at, I don't know, a holiday you had in bloody 2005 or something. And so that's what they're there, but they'll always be there for that. So I've got that. I have actually got a folder that is called pre-Lightroom, and that's it. And then I've got all the rest when I started using Lightroom. So yeah, hopefully that's helped you out. I hope that answered your question as well. And I've lost my place on the page. Oh, that was it, Ken. Yeah, so that's it, Ken. So hopefully that's helped you out. All right. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm just checking the comments here, and lots of people, like I knew, get that same feeling of you know, someone's looking at you when you're taking a picture. Yeah. Tony, Jedi of the Forest. He's talking about. I like your name, Tony, but he's saying, you know, he hates it when people come up behind him to tell him that their camera's better than mine. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that. Just smile and move on. Now, Ellie Tyler from New York City. Hey, how can I tell the difference between pure skill and someone just using auto? I'm only asking this because I've been dealing with an all the gear, no idea, and it really gets to me. Right, so Ellie's having a problem with someone in a camera club or something, I would imagine. But so how do you tell the difference between auto and pure skill? I mean, that is a question in itself, isn't it? So let's just break this down. Auto, you're limited in auto. It's as plain and simple as that. You can get good shots, don't get me wrong, but you can get good shots with your mobile phone, can't you? Your mobile phone is essentially in auto all the time. So, you know, it's the same thing. If you're using a big DSLR in auto, the same thing as using a bloody mobile phone in auto, okay? You can get good shots via composition, lighting, right place, right time, so and that sort of stuff. But you taking full control is the difference. So for instance, if someone's, I don't know, trying to create a landscape, an ultra wide angled landscape that is sharp from the foreground to the background and whatever else, it's going to be very hard to do that in auto. And that's really how you tell the difference. You tell the difference if you can tell that someone has really properly controlled the elements, the visual elements of that shot, because you can get good shots just by pure composition and you know, being in the right place at the right time, but you can't get that consistently. Absolute fact. You can't get consistent good shots without learning the skill of photography, the technical skill of photography. I'm not saying that technical skill, knowing apertures, shutter speeds, is the be all and end all, but it certainly helps you be consistent with getting good shots in any situation. Okay, so that's how you tell, Ellie. Put this guy, I'm assuming it's a guy because it's always a guy, right? Put this guy into different situations in auto and see how he performs. You know what I mean? Put him inside a concert hall and then put him, outside at a beach and all of that, and see how he performs in auto then. Okay. There you go, Ellie. I hope that's helped you out. Next one is from the USA as well. It's from George Perez Martinez from Hoboken. I hope I said that right. In New Jersey, in the USA. I just better check the time. Yeah, cool. It's all right. We've still got time. We have still got time, guys. And nothing's frozen. I better just check things. Everyone is all right. Here we go. Okay. What causes stuck pixels? Sorry, that's the beer. On the digital sensor, and are they the same thing as dead pixels, right? And what do you do when you have lots of them? At high magnification, I see white, pink and green pixels throughout my photos. Right, I've not heard of stuck pixels before. I've heard of dead pixels a lot, and I would assume that they're the same thing. And yes, a dead pixel is normally like a pink or magenta type of color, or white. You get them sometimes in white. And he says here, does the camera need a new sensor at this point? Yeah, I'm afraid, there's nothing you can do. It just happens with age, and you just see them start to appear. Now, thankfully, I've got them on my camera, and this camera here, all right, this camera here, which is my Mark IV, which I love this camera, and when you zoom in, you see them. They're like twinkle like stars. And what's that? Thankfully, you can spot them out very, very easily. You can't do anything about them, I'm afraid. If it's a smudge, like a dirty sensor, you can. But a dead pixel is a dead pixel, and that is the end of that. Yeah, so if you get lots of them, it's time for a new camera, I'm afraid. But the odd one here and there, I wouldn't worry too much about them. I mean, I've had them on all cameras throughout years, and I'll just spot them out. Yes, I hope that's helped you out. Anyone else got any advice on dead pixels? Whack them in there. Or anyone else know what a stuck pixel is? Whether I think they're the same thing. I've never heard of a stuck pixel, but I have heard of dead pixels. I think they're the same. It might be an American, British thing, Right, the next one. Cool, another one from America. Richard Veneman from Yuma, Arizona. Is the mirrorless wave the future, or hang on? Is the mirrorless wave of the future with us? What the hell? Right, the basic thing is he's trying to say, is it the future, or are Nikon and Canon just trying to keep up with Sony? that's the long and short of that sentence, right? Could well be the future, but let me tell you this: camera companies like Nikon or Canon, right? Two really good examples here. They want you to think it's the future, don't they? Because if you think it's the future, you're going to need new lenses, new camera body, right? Because it's not just about you. They've been really clever, I think, Canon I don't know about Nikon, but Canon. So the basic gist of a mirrorless camera is it's a smaller body. Simple as that. They take the mirror out, right? Here we go. So this is a mirrored camera. It never used to be called a mirrored camera. It's just a normal camera. And there's a prism in here. You look through the viewfinder, it hits a mirror, it goes down, hits another mirror, and it comes out of the lens. So there's a mirror at the top here, there's a mirror there. And you physically see what's there, okay? You're literally seeing what's there via mirrors, right? So a mirrorless camera has taken them mirrors out, compressed the camera, because you can do that. If there's no mirrors, there's no space in the middle here, so it can be flattened. And then you view the picture via a digital viewfinder or the screen. So you're looking at a TV screen. So there is a disadvantage there, because there's always a delay. I always find there's a delay in the mirrorless cameras. But But the point I'm making is, so Canon's been very clever. So they've got these new mirrorless cameras. They're smaller. Everyone's going nuts over them. I've got my Mark IV. There's still not, that R5 is still not better than this Mark IV. Like, why would I buy it? Why on God's earth would I buy that R5 when I've got it? I wouldn't. I think you've either got more money than sense, or, you know, I don't know why you would, but you can use your old lenses on the R5 and that with an adapter, okay? But if you want the true value of the lens, blah blah blah, you have to get the new mirrorless lenses, don't you? Right now, imagine how much that's going to cost. You know, it's worked very well in Canon's favour and Nikon's favour, and you've got to remember that these are businesses that are trying to sell. It's like mobile phones. I've got my phone's years old there, and I still can't see why the new Samsung phone is better than my old one. I just can't see it. But there you go. That's why it's done. That's why we get new products, because you go and buy it. But I can tell you now, this Mark IV, I bought the Mark IV when it very first came out, right? And I did that on purpose because I knew this was going to last me for 5-10 years. I knew it. If I got it straight away at that time, it would last that long. And it will do. It will do for a fact. Right. I hope that's answered your question. So it probably will be the future because people like smaller things, but I don't think that they're trying to keep up with Sony. I think that they're just trying to create a new product that you have to buy new lenses for and stuff like that. And don't forget, they make their money mainly from the enthusiast that's got more money than sense. Okay, that's where they earn all their money. Right, the next one is from Jordan Ellis from Poplar. Okay, in London. That's where my family come from. It's popular down in the East End there. The last Q&A. I'm gonna like this question. This might well be the last one. I've got a few. Okay, we're coming. In the last Q&A, you mentioned about, it says pinpoint photography. He means pinhole photography. There it is. That there. My pinhole photography. And you pointed to some work on the wall. Can you elaborate on this? I certainly can, because I love pinhole photography. Only the best photographers do pinhole photography. I can tell you that much, right? Let's get some up for you, okay? So I'm going to go to screen capture there. There we go, like that. Right. What is pinhole photography? So first of all, I'm going to open up this here. And yeah, you can see that. So that there, right, that is that on the wall that I just pointed at. Okay, that's the sort of bigger version of it. And it's a picture of, I call it free galleries. And it's a picture of the Royal Academy, the Tate Modern, and the National Gallery in London. 3 places that, you know, I love to go to. Particularly the National and the Tate there. I think they're fantastic places. And I wanted to photograph them with a beer can. Right? Yeah, that's true. So I took these beer cans up there. Here they are. That's what I took the pictures with. It's a can of Stella, right? And what you do is you take the top off and you put a pinhole in it. You put photographic paper in there, and you expose the can to light for a certain amount of time. Now, pinhole photography is great, right? Because you go back to the darkroom. You have to develop them in the darkroom, but you have to know about composition, about exposure, about chemicals. It's the pure essence of capturing light, right? You don't get more purer than capturing light through a beer can, right? And in fact, it doesn't have to be a beer can. It's just anything. It's anything that you can put a pin in, right? So I'll come back to that in a minute, right? Let me cut. Sorry. So these are some pictures. Oh, there it is. There's a picture that's inside the Tate Modern. There, that's a camera, believe it or not. And here's the pictures, right? Oh, and that is Headingham Castle in Essex, if you know where that is. And there it is there. That's Headingham Castle. and that's Headingham Castle taken with a beer can. Now you might be noticing that they're in negative, and that's because you're using photographic paper. You know, the normal photographic paper that you printed on in the darkroom, for those that are old enough to remember the darkroom, right? You have black and white negative and you print it onto that paper and it turns into positive. All right. Yeah, and I loved doing them, right? When I was a school teacher, so you guys know I was a school teacher for many. I trained teachers to do this sort of stuff, you know, and all of that. It's brilliant. But you bring kids back to the pure essence of what photography is, and that is capturing light beams. Capturing light beams. That's all it is. No fancy lenses, no fancy buttons or batteries or whatever. It's literally you are capturing light beams, okay? And the benefit of doing it in a beer can is that you have this ultra wide angle effect, and you've got to think about where you're going to place that camera, right? Look, you've got to think about where you are going to place that camera to get this stretched look, and that's the skill of it, really. And you're creating these abstract pieces of art. And yeah, I took it one step further. See that there? That is a horse trailer, which I bought for about 200 quid or 300 quid, and it was absolutely in bits. I turned it into a pinhole camera. Yes, I did, guys. I literally took all the walls off, replaced it all, replaced the wheel bearings and everything like that. Then I towed it around with my Ford Cougar, and I took pictures with it, right? Massive pictures. And here are the pictures. So I went to Headingham Castle. There's Headingham Castle there. And then I took these pictures with him. So these pictures are taken with that horse trailer, right? That's how nuts I. And do you know what? When I eventually retire, that's it. I'm going straight back to old school. I'm having a dark room, and I'm just going to do all of this kind of stuff. All right. And that's pinhole photography. Is absolutely fantastic. Oh, and by the way, anyone in the UK, I'm actually selling this. I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm literally going to sell it for nothing. It needs redoing because it's rotted away. Not all rotted away, it's a little bit. Anyway, if you are interested in a horse trailer, which I also turned into a mobile darkroom, it's got a bench in it. You can use it as a darkroom, and a pinhole camera. If you're interested in that, if you're as mad as me, send me a message, because you can come and pick it up. I don't even want much for it. To be honest with you, I don't want nothing for it. As long as you can grab it, you can have it. But there you go, right? Yeah, I was so glad that someone asked me that question, because I love talking about this kind of stuff. And back to camera here, and yeah, Don, a horse trailer camera. It was Don. It was a horse trailer, or it is a horse trailer. It's still there. It's in a field, literally in the next village where I live. It's still in the field. And I always thought, I'm going to go back and do it again, but I never have, man. You know, because I got this business and I do my other thing. Yeah, and I don't want it just sitting there. I think someone should get it and bloody revitalise it. Would you like a Canon or Nikon horse trailer? Yeah. Right, so what's the time? Right, it is past. Now, there's a few other questions that I ain't got round to. Have I answered them all? Oh no, there is a few more. Sorry guys, I don't think I'm going to get round to. I'm just going to see. Just want to see. Just give me a minute here. When are you playing? Yeah, I mean, there's loads here, but I don't think I'm going to answer one more. I'm going to answer one more from. It's a quick one from Dennis Shields in Essex, right? How do I get rid of high ISO? He says, how do I get rid of high ISO? I had my camera set to 100 ISO, but forgot that he had it on auto ISO sensitivity, right? That's a Nikon. This is why I can't use Nikons, man, because anyway, so he was taking pictures of the moon. He thought he set the camera to ISO 100, the camera decided to set itself to 25,600, and he took a picture of the moon, and clearly he had lots of noise in the shot. How can he get rid of that noise? Right, there's a really simple answer to this. You can't. Okay, it's there and that's it. You can take noise out a little bit in Lightroom or Photoshop, but really you've done it. Okay, what you actually need to do, Dennis, is wait till the next full moon, watch my moon photography tutorial on the website. Just go over to my website and oh yeah, it weren't working, was it? Okay, we ain't going to be able to do that. Go over to the schoolofphotography.com, put moon in the search bar. All the settings are there. Copy them settings, go out into the field and take another picture of the moon, but this time set your ISO lower. All right, so that's it really. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through and see if if you've got any questions that you want to be answered now, a follow-up from what we've been talking about would be great, probably. Whack it in and I'll answer it. I'll see what's going on. Let me see what's going on in the comments. A horse trailer mirrorless. Yeah, it is. A horse trailer is mirrorless. I don't know what's going on here. What's going on there? Researching full frame camera as an upgrade to my 77D. I think Les Campbell's looking for some recommendations there. Upgrade to a 77D, a full frame version. Well, how much is the 5D Mark IV now? Is that cheaper now? I haven't looked into it, but I would imagine that the 5D Mark IV is actually quite good value at the moment because of all the mirrorless stuff. And let's see here. Change an image Photoshop from RG for printing and all the colors looks washed out. Right, there we go. That's a good one because that's a follow-up from what we was talking about earlier on about RGB and CYMK. Trevor Lewis here. He's so he says here in the comments, I've changed an image in Photoshop from RGB to CMYK for printing and all the colors looks washed out. And they will do. Yeah, they will do it. And actually, don't do that unless you are asked to by the printer. Most printers will want you just to send them an RGB because that's what you've worked on the screen, and they convert it their end. They've got this software and stuff like that. So I always say to people, export your pictures at RGB, and you can even export them at standard RGB, sRGB. There's all this thing to export them at Pro RGB, Adobe RGB, and this, that, and the other. The actual difference that it will make when you send it to a print lab is minimal. I mean, properly minimal. You won't hardly see it. It makes a difference if you are home printing. If you've got like your own printer and you're doing it and yourself and you love doing that, which is a skill in itself. Trust me, it's a total skill in itself. Then it makes a difference to start mucking about with CMYK and colors and this, that, and the other. But my advice actually is to not change it to CMYK because it will do that. It will do it. It will change all the colors in there for you, which you don't want. And hopefully that's answered that question. And I found the 5D Mark IV is still in demand. Is it really? Yeah. Not much of a discount. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest, because it's an absolute workhorse, isn't it? I mean, how old is it now? It's got to be 4 or 5 years old now, the Mark IV, surely. And yeah, it's an absolute workhorse. That's why. Oh, it's still $2,000 in the US. There you go. Right, guys. I hope you liked this evening's session. I certainly do. I like just having a drink, to be honest. Seeing him and having a beer and having a chat about photography. It's brilliant for me. We will be back next month. The best way to keep up to tabs is to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So click that subscribe button, or you can subscribe to our newsletter on our website. You go onto the schoolofphotography.com, scroll down to the bottom and just subscribe. All right, we don't spam. We send you just right? If you can unsubscribe if you want, but it will give you dates of when the next one's coming up. Okay, they're monthly. What else? I think that's it really. Tell us what you think in the comments. Hit the like button. That's another thing that you got to do. Please, please, please press that like button. Something weird is going on with YouTube. I haven't got a clue what's happening, but well, we're not getting nowhere near as many views and stuff like that, and I think it's because the like button's not being pushed and stuff. You know, that engagement's not happening. And I don't know, it's a computer. You're dealing with a computer, so who knows? Because we ain't changed anything this end. So yeah, please hit that like button for us and subscribe to the channel. And I really hope you've liked this. Sorry about the technical glitch there in the middle. Thanks to, who was it that asked me about my pinhole photography? Jordan Ellis from Poplar in London. Thanks for Jordan for making me talk about my horse trailer, because no one asked me about my horse trailer. They just forget. They forget. I actually made a video on it, on my horse trailer, when I didn't have a beard. It's about, it must have been about 8 years ago now. But there you go. It's on YouTube. It's not in the School of Photography channel. And yeah, there you go. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate you watching and following and being part of TSOP. I hope you've got something out of this session, and I will see you next month. All right. Thanks a lot and goodbye.